This is Corey Jones with the Be Ready with Safety Man podcast. Join us every week for a new podcast. Follow us everywhere podcasts are played and on YouTube. Be Ready with Safety Man. This is Corey Jones.
All right.
What's up?
Good afternoon, Anthony. How's it going, brother?
Good. It's our first podcast across the online world here.
Yep, that's the new normal, right? Everything is online.
Yeah, well, we adapt and overcome, right?
Indeed.
So I got a notification that I saw someone posted online earlier this week, April 8th, came from the Homeland Security website, which is CISA, Cyber Infrastructure. They're the ones that handle most of cybersecurity in, the United States. They sent out an email to the general public. This is a non-classified email about an update on COVID-19 cyber threat. So I thought today would be good to start talking about this, because then I put it out there and people were saying, yeah, I've heard of this, or I've been contacted. So have you heard anything? Have you seen anything yet on this, on the scams?
Yeah, from watching the news and so many things like you're probably alluding to, seem like they're happening at the same time, because you have people preying on people for donations, and now you have also people looking to get these stimulus checks either in the mail or direct deposit. So I'm sure you wanted to touch on a couple things about that.
Yeah, and so the first thing that hit me, when I started looking this up and started getting more detailed about it, I got some notes over here. This was from Business Insider earlier this month. They put a thing of just a rough estimate that, I guess from police reports and things that they've been looking up, the coronavirus scams have cost people about $7 million in the first 9 days of April. That's only what's been reported. So the scams are gonna get worse. The April 8th email kind of covers a lot of stuff. A lot of it's generic stuff, but now that people are more on panic and things are different, I think they're really coming after people. The first one is phishing emails. And so phishing emails are just mass emails that are sent out. They send out thousands and thousands of these if you're not familiar with them. And basically what they do is they try to get you to click on links. They try to get your attention, something in the subject line. One of the people on social media, Jeff, said that they actually somehow got his password and put it in the subject line, so it caught his attention to go into the email. And I know over the years we've probably both heard of many phishing email scams, but this is one. I mean, you just got to avoid clicking the links in there specifically.
Yeah, everything is like 15 days to slow the spread. All these taglines we're getting. One good tagline for all these is don't click any link. Mm-hmm. Don't click any link. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
There's probably no need.
Yeah, and if you get a weird email, I think for people that have grown up in this generation, we kind of understand what a weird email looks like, but this is, I think, unfortunately targets some of the older generation that don't really understand that, like, this really isn't the bank emailing you about changing your password.
Yeah, exactly. Your bank will never do that. The IRS isn't going to email you to ask you for your social security number so they can deposit your corona assistance check or anything like that. Your state Department of Revenue is not going to do that either. The Treasury Department is not going to do that. The Small Business Association loans are not going to call you or ask you for that kind of information. The best way to do it is if you get an email from something and you think you're looking for it, whether it's the IRS or your bank or you applied for a loan or something like that, you can sometimes hover over the link without clicking it and determine where its actual address is, because you can write anything you want in that blue underlined highlighted thing. So if you hover over it, you can find out if it's actually going to it. And then finally, you know what your bank is. So you go right to your bank's website, and then you can contact your bank and find out if this is legitimate or not. It just takes a phone call.
Another way to do it too is, because I remember I almost got, this was years ago, but I almost got caught on an Apple one. It looked super realistic, but I thought it was weird. If the red alert's going off in your head, you got to listen to it and go, okay. So what I did was I clicked reply email, and when you reply, it will bring up the link of where it's going, and all of a sudden this weird long email reply came up, and I was like, oh, this is definitely a fake one. But it was so realistic. I mean, even to the logos and everything like that. So hitting reply, or like you said, going to the actual website to check it, or calling your bank and saying, hey, this is that. The big one that's happening right now, which you started talking about, was the IRS. Everyone's getting these payments now, and so what's happening is you're getting impersonation scam calls saying, hey, we have to verify your bank account, we have to verify your email address, we got to log in here. So they have fake. So first off, if you're listening at home, no one from the IRS is calling you, believe me. And the day the IRS shows up at your house, it's not going to be a good day anyway. So they're not
going to bring you money.
Yeah.
They're not going to bring you money.
No, not at all. So that's the first thing I think for people listening at home, is that these early payments, they're, from what I understand, and a couple people have gotten them now, they're going direct into your account. If you have submitted your 2018 or 2019 tax returns and you fit into the budget level of where they're going to come out. So that's the first thing. But they're not sending out any emails, and they're not making any phone calls. So
no. One thing that you can tell people to look for, definitely want to look for, is if anybody is filing for unemployment, when you file for unemployment, they do direct deposit on that, at least New Jersey and Pennsylvania, and they'll do test deposits of really small amounts of money into your designated account, just to make sure that that is going to work. So if you look in your account and see something like Department of Treasury or something like that from Pennsylvania or New Jersey, and it's like a deposit of 35, 45 cents, that's them making a test deposit. That is legitimate. And like Anthony said, if it strikes you as weird, if you don't remember or you don't understand it, call your bank. Your bank, you can chat. Most banks have a chat feature, chat app right there. And believe me, they don't want your account getting hacked either.
Yeah, because that's more work for them, So yeah, yes. So I'm sure you can easily call and say, hey, what's this deposit? What's this number? Why is this number calling me? And exactly. So you should be able to do that. I mean, every major bank, you could probably get to your local branch and get someone on the phone, and you might not have a little trouble getting someone on the main line right now. I know I was on hold with a major company for like an hour the other day, but if you're calling just your local bank, you're going to get someone on the phone, and they'll know all the information on what's going on, especially with all these pods, because I'm sure they're getting a lot of phone calls on these, so it shouldn't be an issue, dealing with that.
No, they are. A couple other ones that are coming right now is there's some fake CDC emails coming out saying we have information of local COVID cases in your area. Click on this so you can find out where not to go. They'll do everything to try to get you to click on it. Free health advice, saying that if you take this concoction, if you order this online, it'll boost your immune system. No, none of that stuff is real. Fake workplace. If they try to hack into where you work. So they'll send you an email, makes it look like it comes from your HR department or from your legitimate employer that you may be on temporary hold, work at home, or laid off, asking you for information, or as a fake policy update, just different ways to try to get you to click on something, and then maybe just type in your last name or what's your extension, or sign here digitally that you actually read and got this policy on when we're going to come back. So all those things, just check. Just check before you click.
Yeah, and another thing that I saw someone posted on one of our comments as well, when I put this up, is that the other thing that you're seeing now, and you see this on Facebook, and they've been doing this for years, I avoid those posts where they say, what's your favorite color? What's your dog's name? Where were you in 1999? Where'd you graduate? And all these things, and people fill them all out with like, oh, this is all about me. But guess what? Now, if you're a hacker, you're like, okay, I'm going to try their dog's name for their password. I'm going to try their high school. I'm going to try that. You're just laying all these information, and most of Americans use that kind of stuff for their emails. So, try avoiding those things, those clicks on Facebook for all that information, to avoid them as well.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, just take 20 seconds before you click on anything and just Google or research it. If something's coming and says it's legitimate news or legitimate information, just check it. Look at the news source that it's coming from. If you haven't heard of it, if it's not Associated Press, Reuters, or any of the big four, Fox, CBS, CNN, whatever they are, if it's not one of those, check a little bit further, a little deeper into this information before you start making, life decisions based on erroneous information.
Yeah, I think you touched on another good thing too, was these like fake cures and remedies and things right now. I mean, the government has not certified anything for at-home use, at least, that is, a remedy or a cure right now. So anyone selling you something or saying they're going to sell you something, that's a scam as well right now. This is where older people are probably going to click the bait, and get kind of scammed because they're thinking they're trying to get things sent to them or mailed to them, that's a cure. But there is nothing out there that they have, well, at least, certified or posted or
not certified yet,
or FDA approved or whatever for at-home use. And the other one is the mask. I've been seeing nonstop pop up of people selling these masks. Are they legitimate? I don't know. So I would avoid trying to order from some of these sites that are just popping up, because one, you don't even know if there's a real company. They might just be taking all the money, and two, you might not get your mask for like 6 months to a year. So, it might just be some kind of scam as well.
Yeah, just in time for Halloween, right?
It's gonna be the Halloween costume of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
That and Joe Exotic are gonna be the.
Oh, stop. I had my stress level all down, and then you went and said that.
Oh man.
I tapped out after about 90 minutes of watching that. I tried, Anthony. 90 minutes we tapped out, my wife and I. One quick thing before I forget, I wrote this down.
Okay.
One of the best things you can do to protect yourself online is update all your firmware, operating systems, software, and whatever security or antivirus that you have going on. Update it. Even iPhone, Android, Windows computers, Mac computers, Chromebooks, update. Make sure you have the most up-to-date firmware, operating system, whatever software it's running for specific programs, like we're using Zoom now and so forth. Update all that to protect your information and update your security or antivirus that you have on your computer.
Yeah,
just update it.
For sure. And also update with your bank too, because they can put into place, and they can put like a fraud alert. Like I know my bank has it, where if I go somewhere or a weird charge pops up, they send me a text message right away. So that's another security feature, and pretty much every bank has that now. So if you just call and just say, hey, I want fraud alert, or whatever your bank calls it, but if you just ask them for fraud alert on your bank statements, they'll send you a phone call. So if you do accidentally click something or do something, you're like, oh man, they'll send you a message right now, and it will block it before it even gets to that next level. So if you made the initial mistake, at least now you have a blocker there to stop the second mistake from them getting into your accounts. So
yeah, that's definitely a good point there. Definitely a good point. And while we're on that, is passwords. There's programs out there, there's apps out there you can put on your phones that are password protected, and you can store your passwords in. I know iOS does it right now, where you can use Face ID to unlock vast majority, probably 90% of the websites you go to, including your bank, your credit card company, and your internet service provider, your car loan, your mortgage. Almost every one of those sites I use, I can Face ID, so I don't even have to write a password down to lose it. But make sure you change your passwords periodically.
Yeah.
Use strong passwords. Use strong passwords that have at least a symbol, like a $sign or exclamation point, at least a number, at least a capital letter, and some lowercase letters, just to make it harder for people to hack. And then finally, on passwords, don't use the same password for everything. Have about 3 or 4 different passwords. So if somebody does get one of your passwords, don't use the same password for your bank, your credit card, and all your financial, because you don't want somebody to be able to read all that by just learning one password.
Yeah.
So have a couple different passwords. I know it seems like it's a pain, but you can take advantage of your iPhone. Every time you update your password, at least on iPhone, it remembers it. It asks you, do you want me to remember this? And that's pretty secure. Yeah,
no, that's good. That's good advice too, especially with everything happening right now. It's definitely, this is the time. Change your stuff. Get it updated. We got the time to do it, and hopefully it avoids people getting scammed. I think we covered a lot of it, but I think people just have to be smart, and just really pay attention to the little details, the emails, the phone calls. If it doesn't sound right, it doesn't look right, and that alarm sending off in your head, just realize that something's probably wrong here. And there's nothing saying that you can't double check the stuff like we said. So I think
great point you just made there is look at those details.
Mm-hmm.
So grammar and spelling make a big difference. Your bank is not going to misspell an email. They're not going to use poor grammar.
Yeah.
They're just not. So pay attention to the grammar and spelling, and then those overly generic. If they just say, they don't call you by your first name. They just say, "Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am." And we have found this and this not good grammar. If it sounds like that, then it's probably not legitimate. You've seen emails. You get emails from every one of these companies you deal with. Thank you when you ordered something. Hey, you haven't ordered from us in 6 months. And everything's perfect on it. The punctuation, the grammar, the spacing, and the language, and the tense. All that is perfect. So pay attention to that. Because a lot of these are coming from foreign countries or foreign actors that aren't used to the way we speak English in the same way, and the way we write English. And they don't have to spell check the same way that we do.
Yeah.
So pay attention to that. And finally, donations. Everybody is looking for donations. It's not that difficult to check out to find out it's a legitimate donation. You can Google it. There are companies out there that track how much of a certain company provides from. If you donate $10, what percentage of that is actually used for the cause that they say it is. And finally, donate local. We're all talking about eat local, shop local, and everything. You can donate local. There's food banks in every county. There's some food banks in a lot of towns. There's a lot of churches and faith-based places where you can donate, and they are going to use the vast majority, if not all of those funds, to help people locally. That way you can actually help your neighbor.
Yeah, no, that's a good point too, because you're going to see, I think it's good that we get this video out now, because I really feel that we're going to start seeing more and more of these scams and donation scams and all these things. Now that everyone knows that all this money's coming into these accounts real quick, you're going to see the next week or two, I'm sure a lot more police reports are going to start happening of fraud and fraudulent phone calls, emails. So now's the time to, really be on the lookout. And like you said, with the donations, help out locally. You know who's in your community doing stuff. I'm sure they're on your Facebook page, or you're friends with them, or you can verify them locally. So yeah, if you can donate locally, that's obviously a great thing right now. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we covered a lot, man. Was there anything else?
Nah, that was pretty much it. I mean, I know it wasn't a real long one today. The last thing too, just to bring it up, was the text message scam. Same thing with the links on your text messages too. That was the last thing. I'm just going through all my notes here. That was the last thing too. So you can get a text message, but again, your bank's not going to ask you for a text message a password through your text message. Same thing with the emails. They're not going to do it through a text message.
Yes. So the only time you get stuff like that is two-factor authentication, which they do recommend. So you heard maybe that people's Ring video doorbells were being hacked. Technically, the Rings weren't being hacked. They were doing phishing things and getting people's passwords and login information, and then just blasting that out to every possible thing. And they would be able to get in to Rings. They got into Nest. They got into all kinds of different things they can get into. So if you have two-factor authentication, what that means is if you log in from a new device, your primary device, usually your cell phone, is going to get a direct message from that. Like Google will do it, Apple will do it, and so forth. Ring will do it the very first time, and almost all of these will the first time. So they know that this is definitely you. So if somebody else tries to log into it, and we're in New Jersey here in California, it's going to raise a red flag. So that two-factor authentication could cause a text message to come from Google or some other thing, but you're going to be in the middle of doing it. It's not just going to be random at 2 o'clock in the morning while you're asleep and you hear your phone buzz. That happens, that means somebody's trying to hack it.
Yeah.
So you literally will be logging in from someplace, and your phone will go, are you logging in from here? And you go, yes. And then you hit it, and then it pushes itself. It does it all for you. So just be aware of two-factor authentication. That's not the most secure thing that they can offer us right now.
Yeah, sure. All right. Well, thanks, man. So that's all I got for today. I'm sure as the weeks go on, we might be developing more podcasts about, what's happening. So we'll stay in tune with it and keep talking about it. But so I'm Anthony. You can reach me on Twitter at Eat a Hoagie, and this is my buddy Corey.
Yes, you can reach me at SAFETYMAN.co or SAFETYMAN.co on Facebook, SAFETYMAN.co on Twitter. I do crisis management training for businesses. I've just been getting a lot of letters back from some of the businesses that I trained before, and they said that planning that we did in that training has definitely helped them with this pandemic and having to shelter in place, work at home, track their people, contact tracing, all those things happen when you have proper crisis management. And that's what Anthony and I are talking to you right this second, is how to manage this specific thing, but pre-planning is how you win.